I'm going to show you how to use some cane webbing and a cheap picture frame and turn them into a chic serving tray. To start with, I'm going to unroll my piece of cane webbing and place the piece of plexiglass on top. I'm going to be using that as a guide to cut the cane webbing out. Once you get the general shape, you can remove the plexiglass and trim any edges that may be a little out of line. For this next part, we're going to drill our holes for the handles. Of course, this is subjective to the frame that you use, but you want to be sure that your handles are centered and symmetrical. Just be sure to protect your workspace. Now you're just going to want to take the glass out of your frame. You're going to want to save this piece for later. Okay, now it's time to take the film off your plexi. Now you're going to place the piece of plexiglass into the frame. Next, you're going to add your piece of cane webbing that you cut earlier just to the back. Now you're going to add the plastic backing that you set aside earlier to the back of the frame to hold down the piece of cane webbing. Then just close the tabs on the back of the picture frame. Now it's time to add your cabinet pulls. Now, our pulls did come with a set of screws, but they ended up being too long, so you may need to find something smaller that will be just enough to go through the plexi. This is easiest if you hand tighten the screws first and then go back and tighten it with a screwdriver. So if you're unfortunate enough to have the hole in the plexiglass fall along one of the woven spots in the cane webbing, you'll just want to thread the screw through the cane webbing. It is kind of brittle, so you want to be careful. And there you have it. This was so easy to make. There's so many ways you could use this. I could see it on a dresser, keeping your jewelry on it, on an entryway console table with a candle and maybe a vase. The possibilities are really endless, and for the price and how easy it was, it's a no-brainer.
You know, we both get our crafty side from our moms, so this Mother's Day, we're making 3 easy, practical, handmade gifts, which we're sure any mom would love.
Our moms loved our marbled stationery video so much that we decided we're going to make them their own cards using leaves as stamps. I'm going to use some pink and yellow.
And I'm going to use seafoam green and yellow.
So then I'm just going to roll some paint on the leaf here. Once you have your leaf painted, you're going to press it on your card. Well, you're going to lay your leaf paint side down wherever you want your image to be. And then I'm going to cover it with another piece of parchment paper.
Thank you.
And then we're going to use the roller again just to roll out our leaf and get our image on our card. Big reveal here.
All right.
Oh, lovely.
They're pretty nice.
Yeah, they're cute. We also found these oversized paper clips at our local office supply store, and we thought we would personalize them by turning them into a heart.
Yeah, it's really easy, but kind of complicated at the same time. Yeah. You just have to like work with it a few times to really understand how it goes. Just like the clip part you want on the right side, and you want this clippy piece on the top, and then all you do is kind of fold in. So you kind of fold them together. Kind of looks like a pretzel.
But then when you put it on paper, it will look like a heart. And last but not least, we have one more thing we want to make for Mom. We are going to make push pins out of these adorable flowers we found at the craft store.
So we're just going to cut off the stem, and then we're going to embellish our tacks by just gluing them on. It's really simple, but it's super cute.
Today we are going to make our own modern hanging planter with just a couple of items from the craft store. Roll out several feet of your wire, straightening it as you go. Cut 3 strands of your wire that measure around 30 to 36 inches. Take your small metal circle and 1 piece of wire and wrap the last 5 inches of the end of your wire around the circle. You want to overlap and twist and wrap until that thin wire is very securely fastened to the metal circle. Repeat with the second wire and the third wire, trisecting the circle as equally as possible. Press the circle down flat on your table and gather the other ends of the wire pieces that you just wrapped. Press the circle down and straighten your 3 suspension pieces until they're taut and so that the circle hangs down flat. Pinch this point on your wire. My pinched point is 8 inches from the base of the circle, but yours might vary a bit. Bring your larger circle over to the table. You'll want to attach by placing the pinched point on the top of the circle and tightly wrapping it down and around 1. Secure by wrapping around the top of the circle to the right, then the left, alternating to really secure it. After a few wraps, take your keyring. Open it and place around the large metal circle. Now you'll continue wrapping, but you will wrap around the keyring as well, alternating sides until you've really secured it to the big metal circle using those 3 wire pieces. I wrapped with my planter in place because it really kept it all perpendicular and balanced. When you're finished wrapping, you'll cut off any excess wire. Yes, this guy is totally ready for a plant.
Hey y'all, this is Jill with Handmade, and today we are throwing it back to the 1970s with something called Terrazzo. It actually started with the ancient Egyptians who used crushed up marble pieces in a mortar base to build things. It actually gained popularity in the United States during the Art Deco phase in the 1920s, and it had a resurgence in the 1970s. And a good example of where you might have seen it in the biggest place is the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We're obviously not going to be polishing large pieces of stone today. We're going to fake it using polymer clay with 3 easy projects. Let's get started. To make the terrazzo, these are the supplies you'll need. Clay tools, like this plastic knife and a blade, colored polymer clay, a rolling pin, parchment paper, and white polymer clay. I prefer to use white or neutral as my base, but you can use whatever color you like. Start with a large piece of your base color. Roll your clay out to an even thickness. The thicker it is, the longer it'll take to bake. I am going for about 1/8 of an inch thick. Now I'm going to add my flecks of color. I'm using teeny tiny pieces of lots of different colors added to the top of my base color. You can use 2 colors or you can use all the colors. There's no right or wrong way. Once I add all the colors I want, I'm going to roll it out again to make one smooth surface. You can make tons of different projects with this exact same process. Today we'll be making cheese knives, a jewelry dish, and earrings. Before I cut, I'm going to move it to a new piece of parchment paper dusted with flowers to prevent it from sticking. First, I'm going to make a ring dish. I'm going to spray a cookie cutter with nonstick spray to make the shape. Then I'm going to mold it using a glass bowl. Next, I'm going to make earrings. Tiny cookie cutters make the shapes. And I'm going to use a skewer to make holes to add the hardware. Lastly, I'm going to add a decorative handle to this cheese knife. I'm just forming a piece of clay around the handle. I'm going to bake all 3 of these projects together on the same tray at 275 for about 20 minutes. For the knife, that's all there is to it. Pop your ring dish off the glass bowl and you're good to go. I'm just using a simple jump ring to attach my 2 pieces together. Last step is gluing my earring post using super glue.
I like to give my mom things that are edible since she doesn't really need any more things and I don't want even more stuff to be just cluttering up her house. So I like to give her tea, and I picked up some tea from my local grocery store, but rather than just send it to her plain like that, I thought that I would personalize it a little bit. So to make these personalized tea bags, open up the packet and unwind the string from the tea. Now punch out some decorative shapes from colorful cardstock. I'm using this 2-inch round hole punch from Fiskars, which my mom actually just gave me for Easter, but you could also just cut out any shape you want with scissors. Now comes the fun part, writing little notes on each one. And now, once you're done writing all of your notes, use some double-sided tape to sandwich the tea bag tag between your 2 circles. These are really quick to make, so I made a set of 8 with different patterns and a different note on each one. So now you don't really want to leave tea bags out in the open because they can pick up odors and go bad really quickly. So I'm going to use a Ziploc bag to make a miniature bag for each one. So put the tea bag into the corner of the Ziploc bag and cut up the side and across the top. Now cut down the folded edge to just over the top of the tea bag and cut across the top of the front layer, so you end up with a flap that can fold down over the top. After that, use some clear Scotch tape to tape up the side. Put the tea bag inside, making sure the note isn't facing out because you don't want to ruin the surprise. And then just use some colorful washi tape to close up the bag. And now you have some really cute custom tea.